Okay, I'm going to call a meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a moment of silence, please. Okay, thank you. Roll call. I'm going to start with Commissioner Stephen today.
Here.
Collins?
Here.
Overson?
Here.
Smith here? And
Here.
all right, everyone's present. We invite everybody who's viewing or here present. We have public comment. I think we got Scott. Did you? Is that Scott back there? I see. Scott, he's coming up. You got 3 minutes, young man. Hadn't seen you about 20 years. How you doing?
I was to give me a ticket in high school.
You still remember that?
I think you're several of those.
You haven't forgotten that. I gave you a break too, as I recall.
You gave me 2 in one day.
Well, let's not forget about the Soda Road. That was a break, okay? Go ahead, Scott. I'm sorry.
Right. No, I'm just here to speak on behalf of Mr. Gast over here. He was getting an access permit for his business out there. And I didn't realize the format, but we did speak at the Planning and Zoning Committee. And I think they were recommending 5 years. And I was just wanted to put my support in behind it. I think he's going to ask for 10, or he should get 10. Anybody that owns a business would have a hard time not planning and be able to plan for the long-term future. I know you live out on Melbourne Road. You drive by all the time. Places clean, immaculate, does a great job. So that's all I really got to say.
Okay. I appreciate it, Scott. Thank you. Good seeing you.
Thank you.
I think that's the only one that we have for this. Joe is at the end. Okay. Administrative business. Before we go to anything, I'm going to take my mask off. I'm far enough from these people so everybody can hear me. I'm going to read a proclamation that I think is well deserved, and I'm glad to see we're presenting this. Proclamation by the Board of County Commission of Leavenworth County to all citizens of Leavenworth County, greetings. Whereas Leavenworth County, Kansas, alongside all communities across this great nation, have been impacted by the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, and whereas county employees and all our departments have worked tirelessly for a year to help protect our community from COVID-19, find new and innovative ways to continue providing services and programs safely while putting in long hours and performing complex and sometimes life-saving work. And whereas working on the COVID-19 pandemic has required strong partnerships and collaborations with Leavenworth County and our municipalities and surrounding communities, corporations, organizations, school districts, healthcare systems, the business community, and first responder agencies. And where our community is built on those who have made this a vibrant and stable county that continues to endure during difficult times. And whereas healthcare professionals, educators, grocery store employees, restaurant staff, delivery drivers, law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics, public works, council on aging, information services, and so many other have worked continuously and have taken extraordinary steps to ensure the health and safety of the entire community and provide essential service. And where the Board of County Commissioners expresses our appreciation to the exceptional residents, businesses, and schools that have had to make sacrifices in order to help mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Therefore, with the Leavenworth County Board of County Commissioners do hereby proclaim the week of April 5th through April 19th, 2021 as COVID-19 Heroes Week in Leavenworth County, and urge all citizens to take time and thank those for selfless commitments and determination to comfort, serve, and share all well-beings. In witness whereof I have hereby set upon my hand and fixed the seal of the Leavenworth County, the 31st day of March 2021, Michael Smith, Leavenworth County Commission. And folks, let me tell you, and I know the other county commissioners say this too, this county and the county employees and people out there that just kept their business going, I am so impressed with the way y'all have handled this. I mean, Hopefully we won't have another one for another 100 years, but I am so impressed with everybody, not just here, but everybody that does their normal daily activities. And I just think it's been fantastic. I don't know if anybody else wants to say.
It's too bad that Mr. Miller and his staff couldn't be here for the reading of the proclamation, but I'm sure they're gearing up for the Phase 5 opening this Thursday.
Yeah. And just on that, I've had to talk with Jamie and Mark on a few things, because every time you have something like this, there's some special cases where some people really need extra help. And Mark, our county administrator, and Jamie Miller and his staff and all the people involved have gone way above what anybody should expect. And I'm just so pleased how they've handled this. Again, hopefully we'll wait another 100 years. Some of y'all still be here, I won't be, but we can go through it. Hopefully we won't have to go through it again. But anyway, Vicki, Jeff, and Mike, did y'all want to have anything to say?
I just want to add that the incredible job that the staff is doing over at the community center with the vaccine clinics, that I have heard nothing but positive feedback regarding the efficiency and the speed with which it's being taken care of, and the professionalism of the individuals providing the services over there. There's been nothing but positive feedback.
I agree. Mike?
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but I heard yesterday I was eating at the cafe in Tonganoxie, and the owner came up to me and said that he had got his shot, and he said everything was run unbelievably efficiently, and they were just in and out, and they're doing a great job.
They really are.
And it's all first responders. I mean, you got to think, you've got all these fire departments and police departments, everybody, they've all had to keep themselves safe so they didn't all get wiped out at the same time on being quarantined.
Yeah.
So.
Jeff, do you have anything?
No, nothing to add.
Okay.
Great job.
Again, a great job. Okay, other administrative business. Mark, do you have anything for the group?
Yeah, a couple of things. One, just kind of a follow-up to those comments. The clinic that the health department had last week, they had 1,850, I believe, first-time vaccines that were given between 9 a.m. and 4. Next week, I believe they're trying to set up a clinic that will go later into the evening to help people who are coming in after hours. But they're going to attempt to try to stay around that 2,000 per week for first time. And then obviously today, actually, Wednesdays, they do the second vaccines for people. So if you had your first vaccine, they give you a card, and on that card it has the date that you're supposed to come back for your second vaccine.
Yep.
And obviously people need to put that on their calendar, make sure they follow up, and those are the days that they've set aside, but Wednesdays. So they're now doing the 2,000 or close to that on Thursdays for first-time vaccines, but because we're now getting to that point where this is the follow-up shot for where we started getting more vaccines, they're doing 1,000 or more on Wednesday as well for the second vaccine. So they're really, and they have it down pretty good, and people flow right through there. First thing in the morning, they're real busy because everybody shows up and wants to be first in line, and you can't everybody be first. So, but as the day goes on, like last week, we saw by the end, by the middle of the day, they're cranking them through there. I think 10 minutes from start to finish, and then you got to wait 15 minutes for the side effects.
Yeah, that's the longest part. It's waiting 15 minutes after you get it.
Yeah. So really happy with the way that's going, and hopefully, I think that the news said that 35% or thereabouts of Kansas people have received at least their first vaccine, and I suspect we're at least there in Leavenworth County as well.
Right.
While their numbers aren't at 35%, we know the VA has been giving vaccines, and they've had walk-in clinics as well there. We know the Fort has been giving vaccines this entire time, some of the hospitals, doctors' offices. So we believe we're at least at 35%, maybe more. And within a month, we should be that 50% range at least, I would think. So it's all good. They're doing a good job with it, which then kind of segues into tomorrow, the Leavenworth County or City mask mandate is expiring, and they're not renewing it. And since a lot of our facilities are in the city, we have obviously followed their guidelines as far as masks being mandatory inside our buildings, especially where there's public available. But beginning tomorrow, since that city mandate is going off, we will go back to where we were before, which is it's a recommendation, and where you can't maintain 6 feet of separation, you need to wear a mask. But in the areas where you can maintain the 6 feet of separation, it won't be mandatory anymore. Just a kind of a heads up there. And then one other item, again related to all of this. My understanding is that the governor's executive order that we have opted out of expires today, and that her intention is to issue a new one tomorrow that would be applicable to all counties in the state. So if the Board of County Commissioners has a desire to continue to exempt out, we would need to schedule a special meeting to do that. And that's a policy decision, so that's at your discretion. If you wanted to, I would suggest maybe tomorrow afternoon, later in the day, maybe 4:30, because she typically makes her announcement around the 3:30 time frame.
Well, I'll have to meet by phone for a special meeting because I won't be in town after tomorrow afternoon.
So when are we looking for? When are we looking at time to do that? After it's issued, I know it's going to be issued. She always says the afternoon. You're right, Mark. But what do we get together tomorrow, or Mike?
Well, I was just going to say we should probably do. I would say 4:30 because we have the LCDC meeting ahead of that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So.
I'll be here.
Okay.
4:30 tomorrow.
4:30 tomorrow.
Is that enough time for notice, public notice?
Yeah, we can. That's fine.
Okay.
Do we need to have a motion, or is that just administrative? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I just had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
County Administrator, do we know if any of the pharmacies were given vaccines?
They are.
Yes, they are. Those are available in the pharmacies as well.
Pretty much all the pharmacies in town?
Yes.
As far as I know, I mean, I can't say that, but
they are available at pharmacies also.
CVS,
Okay.
Yeah.
Walgreens, Walmart, and Dillon's. And Price Chopper. Thank you. I knew I was going to miss one.
Okay.
They're available at all of those.
All right. Well, maybe that'll help ease the load on our staff.
All right, I do have one question. If the Legislative Coordinating Council meets ahead of time and validates the governor's order, is this a meeting we'll still have to gavel all this meeting in, or if this meeting becomes moot, can our chairman just have the authority to cancel the meeting?
I think once you schedule the meeting, you have to hold the meeting.
So someone's gavel.
You walk in and quit.
You don't have to have a quorum, but you do have to at least come in and acknowledge that there was a meeting scheduled and that you didn't have it. So,
Okay. I just didn't know the procedure.
Okay.
Yeah, you could say we don't have a quorum.
Yep.
Folks can't be here.
Anybody else have anything on the submitted?
Just another question, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
It was announced the other day the President Biden was going to put together a multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure package. Does anybody know what kind of infrastructure the President would be putting together?
they still haven't put out guidance on the first $2 trillion that they've spent, so we don't know what they're talking about. But
well, I was going to say my infrastructure
will
and some people's infrastructures are different, I believe.
Yeah. We'll keep an eye on
trees.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else, Doug?
No problem.
I do have a question for Mark, and I think maybe Commissioner Smith can address this. Can you update us on the private prison situation and where we're at on that? And we sent the letter, and just kind of give us an update.
So, I mean, at the federal level, nothing's changed. The President Biden's executive order that will no longer allow the Marshal Service to, or any level of corrections and detention, to have private contracts to provide those services. We have met with a representative from Core Civic, just like a 35, 45-minute phone call to kind of give an update on where they're at and what they're thinking. And they're trying to come up with some ideas on what can be done. One of the ideas floated would be that a local entity take over operation and just lease their building from them. But that local entity would have to be a governmental entity, which pretty much means us or the city, I believe. So there's some challenges with that. We're not really geared up to run a prison. And so we're just looking at what other options there are and opportunities, and very preliminary. But my understanding is that Core Civic is full charge trying to find a way to resolve this as well.
So that's potentially some big decisions.
Yeah, that Mark hit it around. Yeah, that's exactly the conversation was along those lines too. Maybe we can have a discussion later on as things start looking and we can see if there's any issue. But I would just caution on this after hearing some of the things I heard. But we can sure get together on that sometime. Jeff, if you have anything? Okay. All righty, consent agenda. Is there anything on the agenda that needs to be pulled? If not, I'll take a motion.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
Motion second. Any discussion on that item? Commissioner Stevens?
Aye.
Gause?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Culbertson? Aye. Okay, passes. Thank you. Next is formal board action. Consider a motion to approve Resolution 2021-10, a special use permit for gas auto repair, subject to condition. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Alrighty. Commissioners, before you, I have a request to approve Resolution 2021-10, a special use permit for an auto service station and repair shop for Gas Auto. Gas Auto and Diesel is an auto repair shop located at 22578 Millwood Road in Easton. The applicant is the property owner and owner of the business with his wife. They don't have any additional employees. The applicant estimates that the business draws on average about 10 customer trips per week and 10 parts deliveries per week as well. The parts delivery vehicles are passenger vehicles, so they're not big, heavy trucks or anything. They're just like the Napa Auto Part sort of trucks. And then Millwood Road is a county arterial road. The applicant has historically not completely abided by the conditions of his previous special use permit, which was granted for 5 years. Staff had originally recommended 3 years in order to make sure that the applicant was abiding by the terms of his special use permit. Staff has also increased the number of vehicles that the applicant is allowed to keep at the site in order to help accommodate his growing business. The Planning Commission recommended to increase the 3-year approval to 5 years, so the recommendation of staff now is 5 years. Staff recommends approval of this. The Planning Commission recommended approval of this. Mr. Gast is here and will answer any questions you may have, as will staff.
What do you mean that he had typically not abided by SUP?
So he was allowed to have a certain number of vehicles left at the site overnight. I believe that number was 3. That number was often exceeded by 5 or 6. Mr. Gast had originally stated that he did not intend to use the property permanently. He's changed his narrative on that, which is understandable. That's not being held against him. However, when he first came in, it was 3 vehicles to be left overnight, and that he would find a location inside the city limits within 5 years. He now wants to operate the business permanently at the Millwood Road site, and we have increased the number of vehicles allowed from 3 to 6 customer vehicles. He is stating that he's going to add on to his shop, which should be able to give him a little bit of space to store a few more cars inside. He does have fencing. It's our understanding that Mr. Gast has a number of personal vehicles, and those vehicles are not being counted against him in any way, shape, or form. So that is what we mean when we say he was exceeding the number of vehicles.
Okay.
And Planning Commission voted 8-0 to approve it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I just want to, what I would say is that going to be enough vehicle? Is that going to be enough?
Mr. Gass, could you come up to introduce yourself too, please, sir?
Because we don't want to approve it and then you can't live up to it.
Yeah.
Chris Gast, I agree with what you say. I do have an 8-foot tall privacy fence that there is enough asphalt milling parking. It's kind of like gravel, super nice, clean. On the road side of the fence to where somebody needs to drop their car off if I'm not there or something like that. There's enough room to park 4 or 5 cars out there. There's plenty of room behind my shop where you can't see cars from the road. I mean, even with the fence, with the gate open, I mean, you really can't see except right in front of the shop. I mean, if you slow down below the speed limit and you're really looking, you could probably see. But 6 cars typically is enough. I have ran into problems, especially in the last year, where if you have a Ford diesel pickup that needs repaired and it needs certain mechanical parts, they're on back order because of Ford shutting down plants in Mexico with the coronavirus and stuff. I mean, I've literally had to wait 10 days to get some parts. So those vehicles get moved behind the shop where they're not seen from the road. You know, I mean, typically overnight, there's maybe anywhere from 0 to 3 cars out there that, you know, got dropped off at 7 o'clock after they got home from work or what have you. But, I mean, on average, there's not 3 cars there to be repaired overnight like the original permit stated. I mean, very, very uncommon.
So if we moved it up to 10, you'd be safe for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think I've ever had 10 cars there overnight, you know. I mean, maybe 10 cars there to be fixed, flat tire, oil change. I mean, where we live and the way people, you know, have jobs and stuff out there, it's not uncommon for somebody to say, hey, can I just have my wife drop the car up on her way to work and you can do the oil change, we'll come back and pick it up afterwards. And I mean, I've been doing this my whole life and I've never worked anywhere where we couldn't squeeze in an extra small job. So, you know, if I scheduled 4 cars, what's the 5th one, you know?
How long have you been in business?
My own, 3.5 years. 4 years in August.
Of course, we didn't have any complaints around here, did we? Or did we?
Yeah, Commissioner, we have not had any complaints. I do want to point out that this is a residential zoning district.
Yeah.
I understand that Mr. Gass operates an auto repair facility and that we have allowed that in the past, but this is a residential zoning district.
Yeah,
that is part of the reason we have conditions and we put limits on businesses out in the county.
Yeah, I think you've doubled it right now from what I see before than what we had. We had 3 beginning, right? And now we're up to 6. And you've seen all the stipulations that they asked for, correct? So you're okay with that? Jeff, do you have anything to say on this?
A little.
Okay.
You know, we've got several of these SUPs in my district. This is one that is kind of unusual because not only have I not had any complaints, I've had people reach out to me because they knew this hearing was coming up and said, hey, well, we really like having the gassed automotive business in our neighborhood. So there's several people reached out to me to ask what they could do to make sure that it stays because of that. Also, City of Easton reached out to me to find out what it would take to annex this property into the City of Easton, which it can be done. So they're less distanced away from the city than one of the businesses that's already an island annexation. So that's possible. So rather than see that happen, I would rather just approve the SUP if it's all right with the owner to stay where he's at for a 10-year period instead of 3 or 5.
I agree with the 10 on renewal, especially if he's getting ready to make an investment on building on. And I got a confession to make. I did not visit this. I think this is the first one I haven't visited when it comes to or drive by. You know, but I've been by it a lot. I was just, you know, last winter when I looked at the bridge.
Since he put the privacy fence up, there's really not a lot to see.
You're right.
Okay, but anyways, you got me. I didn't go visit this business. I had a question on there shall be no on-site retail sales. I mean,
We don't want this to turn into a car sale lot?
well, yeah, but there's all kinds of things you can have on-site that be retail sales. Say, I'm just hypothetically, he's kind of in an agriculture community. Hydraulic hoses. Say, what if he starts building hydraulic hoses and sells them to farmers when they break a hydraulic hose? That's a retail sale. And that would be, and I know vendors are probably bugging him, wanting him to sell batteries and oil filters and different things like that.
If we're talking about, you know, a battery needs, they're putting in a new battery because that's a repair, or they're getting an oil change, that's obviously under the confines of the special use
Okay,
permit.
just want to make sure.
Absolutely. However, if it's, well, now I have a shop that I stock 50 batteries and tires and hoses and oil
Yes.
and all that, and you come here and you treat it like AutoZone, well, that's different, and that would need, the special use permit would certainly need to be amended. So yes, typical repair items for vehicles are certainly.
in his area, just say welding supplies. What if he became an oxygen oxacetylene dealer? And there's a need for that out there.
But then it'd be a different type of business than what he's asking for.
And then that would require additional employees, and so we're expanding.
But it still
and trying
falls
to-
under the automotive, I think. But just me,
I think we're pushing it when we're trying, as a Board of County Commissioners, to encourage development. And of course, this is getting close to the city and things like that. But as the commission, we're trying to encourage that these types of developments take place closer into the municipalities and not out in. And I understand, and I think that it's the location is good on Millwood Road, so it's not like it's off in the middle of nowhere to do it. But I think that we're beginning to completely, I don't know, what we're doing is the county is beginning to compete with businesses, and we're going to, okay, so we need to look at what we want to do and how we want to plan to do things in the future, because we have plenty of businesses that are located within the municipalities that would love to go buy property out in the county and get special use permits and not have to abide by the development, by the economic development plans that we've been talking about. We need to begin to make a decision. What the hell do we want to do? I'm sorry, but we're pushing it.
I agree with what you're saying, Commissioner Cos, but I also feel like there's some businesses in residential neighborhoods that are a perfect fit.
Since he works
on tractors,
right. Husband and wife, small business.
Yeah.
The individual wanting to make a living. I don't have a huge issue with that.
Yeah.
But when we're trying to start turning it into a business that you've got an employment opportunity and making sales and doing all those things, we're not allowing. I mean, where do we want to go? And because to some extent we're wasting a lot of taxpayer dollars with the planning, with putting in. We just spent major bucks for a comprehensive plan. We're looking at doing a transportation plan. We're looking at all these things. If we're not going to do that, if that's not what Leavenworth County is about, fine. But quit wasting taxpayer dollars to make those decisions. Just say this is the way we want to be. That's just.
If I could just, I think the point here, just to stay with this, is what we're discussing right now has nothing to do with your application, sir. I don't want you to think you're getting tied up in this.
I think I have one thing to say about what you were talking about there. I totally agree with. If I was just somebody that lived like my neighbor, I've known both my immediate neighbors since I was 7 years old, and if one of their kids was to build a shop next to me, I wouldn't want to take it. I wouldn't want them to have it any different per se than that I have going on. I mean, I would not want some guy from Bonner Springs driving all the way to my house on a Saturday at 5 o'clock because I had a acetylene bottle and nobody else in the county has one available. I wouldn't want that because that's just dirty traffic, if you want to call it that. I mean, there's a lot of things there that I wouldn't even want in my own house. I mean, I would not want to push that envelope, and I agree. The special use permit is there to help both ends of the spectrum. I mean, your neighbors should have a voice in this decision, and I feel like, from what I've done, apparently my neighbors agree with what's going on, or people would be calling and complaining, I feel like, anyways. Mm-hmm. I mean, but yeah, I mean, where do you stop? I agree there's got to be a point.
Right.
I mean, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and I agree with you too, Vicki. In some businesses, that's what the industrial parks are designed for. This one, like say some of the people that reached out to me, he fixes tractors, and so it's a perfect fit.
I think that with what he's doing, to have a business that he started as a young person, and then to have a future, to do this in that place with himself and his wife, that's awesome. It's not going to overwhelm or put the screws to anybody else. He's trying to make a living, and I understand that. But when you start growing it to the point where we have some of the other things that we've had to deal with, to where it expands way beyond the intent of a little small mom and pop operation, then I think that but like I said, then we need to make some decisions as a board.
Well, Vicki, though, too, SUPs can be pulled. County commissioners can say he's not following the guidelines. I think we've been more than fair when he doubled his size, and I'm glad he's growing like that to a certain degree. But I think for this one right here, we've got some planning commission comments and some comments from the county commissioners that we really need to get back to. But I know what you're saying, Vicki. We're going to have to look at that.
Mike,
But go ahead, Mike.
A question for Crystal. Have you inventoried or across the county, like how many of these small auto type businesses we have, auto repair?
I can think of about 5 off the top of my head that are.
Because I know of at least 3 in southern Leavenworth County. I could probably start thinking of more, but I know there's a lawnmower repair, but I just didn't know if you had them inventoried.
I didn't. Like I said, I can think of about 5 off the top of my head, including Mr. Gass.
Okay. My point when I was asking the original question is I want us to, on the SUP, to give him plenty of room to where it's not like, because I know COVID is delayed. We ordered a freezer from Nebraska Furniture Mart, and it was supposed to be here in May, and they just called and it's going to be here in October. A chest freezer. He said this coming year. But it may be that, maybe normally you can keep it to 6, but this particular time, maybe you should have a little. I just don't want to write a rule and then you can't live up to
Things that
it.
are out of my control, essentially.
Right. So I'd rather say, we'd rather keep you to 6, but if 10 will for sure you can stay below 10.
Yeah, can we word it to where, 5 on the roadside of the fence and, or what can be seen from the road, or?
I just want something you can live up to, that we're not just writing stuff just to be writing stuff.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, folks. If we do the 6, and then it comes that it's outside that, and you need 8, what's to stop him from coming back in here, and we look at 8 then?
Well, I was actually going to word a motion for 6 outside the fence, because he's got plenty of room in the back.
It's a
where you
gravel
can't see
parking
him.
lot behind my shop to where
Yeah,
they're not
I would
tearing
have
out my yard, tracking the mud on Millwood
So it
Road.
kind of kills 2 birds.
And I think it should also be 10 years,
That's what I was going to do.
because
Agree.
we don't want to keep hearing these. If they're a business that's not a controversial business, there's obviously not a problem, then there's no reason for these to keep coming in front of the Board of County Commissioners, except on a.
You ready for a motion, Chair? I'd like to make a motion that we approve Resolution 2021-10, special use permit for gas auto repair, subject to all conditions, including no more than 6 customer cars outside the fence, viewable from the road, and for a 10-year period.
Second.
Motion and second. Any more discussion on this one?
I think we should be appreciative of all these kind of businesses like this. This is the kind of business that will bring economic development to our county. We don't tend to get the great big development, but these kind, if you have a lot of small businesses, they're going to make up for that. And I really think when we have entrepreneurs, appreciate what you're doing.
I appreciate those comments.
Chris, I just had a question.
Sure.
Just curious, had our LCDC reached out to you about moving into the city or industrial park or anything? Anybody from LCDC?
No.
Just curious.
Nobody's reached out.
Okay.
I would just like to
Just
say,
curious.
Thanks again for those kind words there. And I just feel like, every day I drive down my road, test driving cars, I'm always looking at my neighbors' houses, and I want to be able to make it to where they don't feel like they live in a bad neighborhood because I got 5 or 6 cars sitting outside while they're all going to work. There's obviously some retired people that live around there, but all the people that, especially the immediate people, they've always said, I sure hope you don't move to town. We love the fact that you're here. If I had a dog for every one of those people that came in there, I probably wouldn't be asking for a renewal because I wouldn't need it.
Hey, Chris, let me get this vote before they change their mind. I appreciate your comments.
I have one thing, though, that
Vicki.
we didn't limit it to a maximum of 10 cars based on that motion, so he could have 20 cars in the back and 6 outside the fence. So that's just point of clarification.
Crystal, how many is he supposed to have on the backside?
Commissioner Cos is correct. The way the motion was worded, it specifically states outside of the fence. So I suppose if Mr. Gass had room for 20 or 25 vehicles behind his fence.
And that's not the intent of what we're wanting to have.
That's not the intention.
I understand.
It needs to
Okay.
be documented.
I would love to have you guys out anytime you feel like.
Chris, how many can you live with having in that fenced-in area?
Total on the property, I think the most I've ever had there that are customer cars, not including my own stuff. Like during business hours is probably 12. But overnight, I mean, it's not that late. I mean, like if you came in my house at 4 o'clock yesterday, there was like 7 of them there, but when I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning, there's 2.
Well, I'm asking what a number, because I think that.
So 6 out front, 12 in the back.
Yeah,
18,
I think we needed a number so we don't have to.
So
You can see what we're trying to get at.
I totally see what you're
Okay.
saying.
So let me amend my motion to add no more than 20 on
Well,
the
let me
property.
withdraw then. Who seconded it?
One of us did.
You want to withdraw that motion?
I'll withdraw my second.
Okay, and then go ahead, Jeff.
Amend my motion to be the same, except to add 20 total customer cars on the property.
Not to exceed.
I thought it was 12,
6 out front,
18.
14 in the back would be 20.
I thought he said 12.
Yeah, I was just adding a couple.
I know you were.
I mean, with COVID, a little bit of.
Could you live with 12 in the back?
So 18 total.
18
Well, I can
total.
live with that, yeah.
Okay,
So
Jeff, you okay?
And we don't really want you. I mean, the intent is not for you to have a whole gob of cars.
I understand what you guys are getting at.
So
Okay.
6 out front, 18 total on the customer cars, total on the property.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Any more discussion? Okay, Commissioner Stephen?
Aye.
Commissioner Cos?
No.
Aye.
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 Motion passes 4-1. You're good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You probably have gray hair when you come back.
Okay. Item number 2, consider motion to approve resolution 2021 text amendments to the 2006 Leavenworth County Zone and Subdivision Regulations, Articles 3 and 18.
Commissioners,
Yeah.
you should also adopt the resolution by number, by motion. I believe your motion did not include the resolution number.
20.
Oh, 20.
That's correct. That's correct. It did not.
You want to redo it?
Yeah,
Just an
right.
additional motion, say I move to adopt resolution 202110.
Oh, I thought I did, but yeah. So my motion is approve resolution 2021-10, special use permit for gas auto repair, subject to conditions.
Okay.
Second.
Motion is second. Commissioner Stephen?
Aye.
Cos?
Nay.
Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you, David. Okay. Crystal?
Commissioners, I have before you a request to approve Resolution 2021-11. This is a resolution to amend the Leavenworth County Zoning and Subdivision Regulations, specifically Article 3, which amends the definition for a private road. Currently, our standards state that private roads are not allowed. We have obviously adopted the cross-access easement subdivision, which in effect does allow private roadways within platted subdivisions. So amends that definition to include cross-access easements and to state that they are allowed. This also adopts a new article, which is Article 18. Article 18 is essentially the design standards, the development standards, parking standards, land standards for planned districts. Currently, planned districts only exist in the County Road 1 corridor. Planned districts could exist in other places if a property owner wanted to rezone their property from residential to planned residential. That's certainly something they would be able to do. And then these regulations would also apply to that area. However, like I said, these have essentially been written and recommended for the County Road 1 corridor. I will answer any questions that you may have. There are obviously a lot of regulations in here. These have been worked on for the better part of 2 years now, and they very, very closely mimic the city of Tonganoxie's design standards whenever possible, because obviously this County Road 1 is well within the area where we expect Tonganoxie to grow. So whenever possible, we did our best to merge our regulations and their regulations for continuity and clarity in the future.
And when will Tonganoxie grow?
Hopefully soon.
Jeez, Doug.
Is that a rhetorical question?
Well, I mean, I was just saying, throw millions of dollars at something, you hope to get some.
They're building a lot of houses down there.
And we need to recognize that. I mean, residential is what's driving this train right now.
I like it.
We can talk to businesses all we want, but let's face it, people are doing everything to live here, overpaying for a lot of houses. But so my question would be, this would kind of apply to, say, Tonganoxie ran a sewer out and somebody tried to want to do a planned development, but they were still outside. They would not be annexed in the city. They'd still be in the county, and could go to the. I guess this would apply to that.
Correct, and
Okay.
whether or not the city would annex them, I think that's a separate conversation.
Right, but if it was in the county.
Right,
If
correct,
it,
yes.
say sewer was available and the cities had no intention of annexing it, just providing services.
Yes.
Okay.
Do your project. Anybody else have any questions on this?
You've done a good job.
Yeah, that's well.
And a lot of help from some really great staff. So.
Good. Well, I think it's well written, Crystal.
And I will say this: she has a really good staff.
Yeah.
I've worked with them quite a bit, and her office. I think you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, they warn her when I come to visit her, so she comes up the door. So I'm pretty impressed with them too, Crystal. I'm only kidding. Yep.
I don't have a door to get out of. Mr. Fulkerson took his ladder when he retired. So.
Okay. Any other comments on this? If not, I'll entertain.
Section 18, no.
What's that?
Not on Section 18,
You ready for a motion?
or Article 18.
Oh, you got some more? Go ahead.
Can we do all these at once?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Just want to. So you did a motion to approve resolution 2021-11 text amendments to the 2006 Leavenworth County zoning and subdivision regulations, Articles 3 and 18.
Second.
Motion second. Questions? Okay, Mr. Stephen?
Aye.
Guys?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay. Okay. I think next, consider a motion to appoint members to the Building Codes Board of Appeals.
That's my list.
Commissioners, you've each, aside from Commissioner Culbertson, you have each appointed one person directly to the board.
Yeah.
We had agreed to a 5-member board. You should have a ballot there in your packet, probably at the end of your packet. And if you could just mark your choice for the at-large committee member, and then I guess give those to Mr. Lawfrey, he can probably tally them up.
Just check it, Crystal.
Yeah, just check.
Okay.
I think one thing I would note is that you probably need to formalize the recommendations of the individual commissioners in a vote, appointing those people to the board, and then I mean, we can do it all at once, I guess, but just those were not appointments; those are recommendations. The full board needs to recognize those as well.
So once we get this added up, we can do that.
Yep.
David. Okay. I don't know these people.
Since I'm not picking somebody, should they pick like alternate 1 and alternate 2 each, so you have 4?
Let's just see it adds up, Jeff.
You're not going to vote on these either.
Right now.
I think Mr. Lawfrey's coming for your ballot.
Unless we all got different ones, then here we go again.
Hey. Commissioners, John Zimbelman has 2 votes, Justin Burgoon has 1, and Marcus Radalusko has 1. So that would be John Zimbelman and would have the majority of the votes. If that board's intent, that would be the 5th commissioner or whatever committee member, and then you could approve that one along with the other 4.
Okay. So we appoint that. Need a motion on that?
With the list of names?
I don't know.
They don't have a list of names.
Okay, my list back.
They take it away from you?
Yeah, you mind? Go ahead.
Okay, let's see here. I move that we adopt the appointment of members to the Building Code of Appeals Committee, the following members: Mike Smith, Mike Smith, John Jacobson, Tim Smith, Dale Thomas, Zachary Stoltenberg, and John Zimbelman.
Second. I'll second it. We got a motion second. Any discussion on these? Commissioner Stephen?
Aye.
Mr. Cos?
Aye.
Abstain.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Good to go.
Go
ahead,
Mr. Chairman, can I ask Crystal one question before she leaves on the farming section of this deal that we just approved? Do we really have any say over farms?
So, Commissioner, if it's 40 acres or more out in the county, farming, it's agriculturally exempt as far as our zoning and subdivision regulations. What we have done is we have clearly stated in each of these zoning districts that farming is allowed. Mm-hmm. That's what we've done. We have also stated that, let me get this exactly correct, that no farm shall be operated publicly or privately for the feeding or disposal of rubbish or offal unless a special use permit. So that is not considered agriculture. So we're saying if you're going to feed trash to animals, you're going to need a special use permit. Okay. And that special use permit will not be granted for more than 3 years.
Well, the 40 acres, we have several people that have 10 acres that do agriculture things.
And if they farm it today and they want to farm it tomorrow and they want to farm it 20 years from
now,
they can.
Right.
The 40 acres is exempt from the zoning regulations. Okay. As far as things like lot width to depth ratio and minimum road frontage and such. That's what that is for.
Mm-hmm. So as long as the people are using their 10 acres as agriculture, they're still considered ag use on their property. And, of course, the Schedule F on their taxes, I'm sure. So, okay, I just wanted to make sure we wasn't getting on a slippery slope to where we're encroaching on agriculture and getting in trouble by the Department of Agriculture, USDA.
No, I try to stay off.
Because we are an agriculture state.
You are correct. Yes, we
are. We seem to be growing more houses now than crops, but we are an agriculture state. So,
okay. Thank you. Question. Down in my area, it's come up about the use of conservation tillage methods, and we've had a gentleman that was using, well-intentioned conservation tillage method, and now we have a major pollution problem down in the south part of the county. Can you tell me if our current regulations address that, or is there additional regulations that we need to look at to make sure this doesn't happen again?
Commissioner Stephen, members of the Commission, Commissioner Smith is correct. Under public policy and the laws of the state of Kansas, agriculture is encouraged and favored. However, despite whatever characterization may be given to the disposal of recyclable material from some other municipal area, which is what I believe you're alluding to, Commissioner Smith, while it may have some peripheral agricultural use, the primary problem is it produces trash and may in fact constitute an unauthorized waste disposal site. In those instances, those activities fall outside of the agricultural exemption and can be dealt with both by your regulations regarding any site that is used or maintained for the disposal of municipal or other waste, as well as the general Kansas statutes regarding littering, and finally the public or the statutes regarding the maintenance of a nuisance. I don't believe additional regulations would be productive in that case.
Okay, that's what my question was, is we're trying to figure out how to address this down in the south part of the county. It's a tremendous mess.
Okay. Okay, we're good? Anything else for we? Okay, thank you, Crystal.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. Even though we got executive session, I want to go ahead, since Joe wants to speak on public comment, I want to go ahead and get him before us. So, Joe, if you want to come forward.
Good morning, Commissioners. Joe Herring Surveying, 315 North 5th Street. This is just a follow-up to what I came in front of the board 2 weeks ago. I was hoping that they would be discussed at the work session with Planning and Zoning and the Planning Commission, but didn't have time to get to anything specific. One is the design of private roads. If we need to continue, if the board just wants to continue with policy, just want that direction if possible. And the other is the Paradise Trailer Park. The plan that was presented in the email of the mixed use of RVs, which is the allowed use per the zone, while letting the remaining mobile homes stay in place. Once they're removed, no more mobile homes will be put back in the park. Those are the two items that we're looking for direction. The latter is the most important probably because they're turning away applicants wanting to move their RVs in, but they don't want to displace 30-some people out of their house. That's the only comment I have.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Okay, I think we're going to take that up now. Okay. Executive session.
You ready for executive session?
20 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board recess for closed executive session meeting for discussion of a subject involving the legal interests of the county as justified by KSA 75-4319B2 for consultation with legal counsel for the board, which would be deemed privileged in attorney-client relationship, and that board resume open meeting at 10:15 this a.m. in the meeting room of the board. Present in the executive meeting will be Commissioners Culbertson, Cos, Mike Smith, Doug Smith, Stephen, Senior County Counsel Dave Van Paris, and County Administrator Mark Lawfrey.
Second.
I'll second it.
Motion and second. Commissioner Stephen?
Aye.
Cos?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay.
Going Mark.
The board has returned to regular session at 10:15 a.m. No action was taken. No decisions were made. The subject was limited to legal. Yeah, I should have wrote that down. Attorney-client. Attorney-client. Yeah. Okay.
Privilege.
Should have written that down. Okay. Anything else from the?
I just want to let the community know that the courthouse, beginning tomorrow and through the month of April, will be lit up blue for Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Good.
We'll have a proclamation on that.
Yes, next week.
That's great.
At next week's meeting.
Okay.
Mike, did you have?
Just reminder to everybody that today is the last day. If you're going to have a informal appeal, you need to get it scheduled by today. Otherwise, you'll have to pay your property tax in protest if you're going to protest against it. So, that's all.
Doug?
I thought it was 30 days from when you got the notice.
In order, the informal hearings, they have to have them scheduled by, it doesn't have to take place, but it has to be scheduled by the 31st.
Got it.
Then after you have your informal hearing, and you get the results of that, then you have 30 days to appeal to the state.
Okay.
Doug?
No, just attended Basehor City Council last week and Paramount Township meeting last week. Have anything this week? We do have a holiday this week.
At the Planning Commission joint meeting with everybody, and I thought that went pretty well. It was good to sit down and talk to everybody and try to get some things worked out.
Thank you for keeping it 6:30 so I could make my seat.
I saw you running out the door, Doug. I thought that.
I made it. Even went through Lansing.
Oh, my goodness.
Out without getting pulled over, no less.
Okay. Thank you for that, Vicki. That's all I have, Jeff.
Some people might be interested in hearing about the Flatland fill site out there at Easton. I've been working with the owners of that to take care of some issues, so we think we've got most of those resolved.
Good.
Trash on the side of the road. We've got a guy once a week picking the road up. There was some neighbors that could see what they were doing on top of the hill. That's all going to be seeded down to grass by the end of summer. They send a magnet truck out once a week now to address nails. So they're easy to work with. They're following through with so far everything they're saying. So we'll see how it goes, but we're keeping on top of it.
Okay. Anything else, Jeff?
That's it.
Vicki?
No, other than just the meeting at the Blue Light Fish, that's it, to get the building set up, which I encourage everyone to, thank the people that we have within our community that work with preventing the abuse of children, and their organizations to report it to. And if you know of a child that is being abused, report it. And love the kids.
I'm sure they've had a challenging past year also
They have.
with the schools.
Yeah, imagine.
And I would say that I met with Kelly Meyer for just an unrelated thing and she reported to me that through this pandemic, they have not missed having services for the kids throughout the entire pandemic. So, and I think that's an incredible
Pretty
accomplishment.
impressive, yeah.
It's very impressive that they managed to continue operations through everything that's happened, all of the restrictions and regulations. They've had supervised visits. They've continued with the interviewing and things of children who are, suspected of having been abused, and they've done an incredible job under very difficult circumstances, and she sends our extreme gratitude for the COVID funds to assist them with offsetting the losses, the financial losses that they experienced over the year.
Right.
She said they would not still be in operation had they not received that funding.
Okay.
Does CASA have any fundraisers scheduled for the summer or once we get out of this COVID thing?
They're hoping and planning to do the night at the races at a different date. They're doing a fundraiser in Atchison that I'm going to assist them with in October. But there's a lot of things they're still restricted from doing. So in answer to your question, they hope to. They do some virtual fundraising. They have, on Thursday, they're going to have, tomorrow, they're going to have a little event, but it's not a fundraiser. It's an awareness campaign for child abuse prevention, and they're going to have kids to be able to paint rocks. They're going to place those rocks outside in an area, and then they're going to place pinwheels, because there's the blue pinwheels as one of the symbols of child abuse prevention, and they're going to have the plant pinwheels. And so I asked Kelly if she could try to pass them over to us to plant a few pinwheels over at the courthouse,
Yep.
which she will try to do.
Yep. Okay. Anything else from the commissioners?
And to me, CASA is like the poster child for unfunded state mandates.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly. That's why their fundraising is so important.
Good point, Jeff.
It is,
Good point.
and they really need it because it is. It's something that is required, but
The state
they
says
have to
you
bust
will
their
do
buns.
this through the courts, but we're not going to give you any money.
Unfunded,
Right.
yeah.
It's mandated.
Yeah.
But we have the judges that work with CASA over at the courthouse are incredible, and both the first judicial district. they're incredible. They are so supportive. They really are. And fortunately, we have a judge over there now that was a past CASA director, board director, so she's very in tune with the needs of the organization. And
It's fantastic. We've got some great people in this county.
yes, we do.
Okay, with that, nothing else, I'll take a motion.
Chairman,
And they need volunteers.
I just noticed Commissioner Novinsky walked in. I didn't know if he had public comment.
Novinsky,
Let me put my glass on. How you doing, sir? Didn't see you back there.
Did you have something important, Don?
Yeah, I got a question.
Come
Oh,
on,
come
in,
on up.
so we can see you on the camera.
We saw you sneak in going up there.
Or else you can sit
You
here
got
next to me.
You got a peculiar hits on your get along.
Commissioner Cos, would you ask this gentleman for some ID?
well, he got through security. I don't know how.
Go ahead.
Because I
I'm
know
Don Novinsky.
Hey, Don.
Anyway, my question is, I heard on the radio out of St. Joe that Cereal Ingredients is moving to St. Joe.
they're expanding their business, St. Joe. They're still staying here in Leavenworth.
Okay.
We just did not get the expansion.
Okay.
Asked for
Well,
it, worked for it,
And
but
that
didn't
was
have.
an issue of geography and being able to liability with their insurance of having a plan for, like, the tornado that you
Tornadoes.
went through.
Yeah.
That they have.
okay.
Spread out. They
Yeah.
need to be spread out.
Well, yeah, what I heard was, they're moving their headquarters to
No.
St. Joe.
No.
No, they just need to diversify their locations.
Yeah.
If one tornado wouldn't take their entire business out.
And because, this commission did a lot of work to get them here and to keep them here.
Mhm.
And the buildings, and then, they had expansion areas here, and so.
The
have they
commission
ever
did or
moved-
LCDC did?
Huh?
The commission did or LCDC did?
Well, LCD and the county commission worked hard on,
We just need to.
and
Yeah.
made that a port, what's the word?
Port Authority?
No, a free port enterprise, or,
Oh.
basically
Enterprise zone?
enterprise zone, so they can bring, cereal or ingredients in without paying tax on it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I was just curious about, so they are going to remain.
They're here with
Yes.
us.
We just need to be able to supply them with more labor.
Uh-huh.
They're having difficulty.
They're having difficulty
finding-
keeping labor
Yeah, so
meeting up.
if you're looking for a job, go to Cereal Ingredients.
Yeah.
They're hiring.
They are.
Can't get through the Kansas unemployment or phone calls and just go out there and apply.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, if I feel ambitious, I will do that. But I'm not feeling too ambitious.
Okay.
But I happen to be in town, and basically I'm here to get my second shot down to the thing.
Well, good.
And
good.
the
Good for
line
you.
was like out there, so I thought, well, I'm just going
Let it finish.
to say hi to old friends. And
Good.
And there's plenty of
Get the right
businesses in
information.
town you can go spend your money at too.
oh, there is.
Yeah, make your trip
They'll
worthwhile.
take it.
Uh-huh. That's
Okay.
good.
Thank you, Don.
That's good to
But
see
the trouble was, I dig up that old cache that got buried out there. And that musty smell, they don't want to take it.
Oh, they'll take it.
Okay.
How's that? Good to see you all.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right, thanks for coming.
Thanks for letting me
Oh, you bet.
ask the
You
question.
You bet.
Take care. It's good to see you. I've seen you forever.
You want to get a motion?
Well, I'll tell you what, I guess,
Motion to adjourn?
who are you?
I'll second it.
Vicky Cos.
Oh, Vicky, God, dang it.
I'm not sitting up
No,
there.
you're not sitting up there. It's like, who is this lady that's talking to me?
Don, she won't have anything to do with us, so it's the way it is.
I don't blame her.
I
Because rumor is that
Okay.
they're using this, shut the mic
Aye.
Give us one.
sexually abusing this gal. They are all the time.
Yeah, give us a second here, Doc. Give us a second. A motion and a second to adjourn.
Aye.
Aye, aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.